would like to tack on to the back of that answer. And thanks, boss, for the bit on mentorship. We put together a program called the Wage Grade Career Mentorship Program and Career Development Program. And I think that's important for us to kind of just maybe double tap. We talked about it last time we had one of these events, but it's still out there, and actually people are using it. So we're seeing really great benefits in the fact that now if you want to stay in the career path that you're in as a wage grade and move your way up, there's a way to work through that process or to learn about that process so that you take the right steps at the right time to advance yourself. There are mentors out there that we offer so that you can be helped through that process, as the general just said. And even though that might be informal in some cases, lots of times you'd like a little more formal thing. In other words, how do I aspire to be the general? So maybe I go to the general and ask him how I would aspire to be the general. But the same way at any career path. So we've now opened that up in wage grade areas so that we give the opportunity that might not have been there a year or 2 years ago. That program is out there. If you have any questions about it, anything whatsoever, Dennis D'Angelo.1@us.af.mil. Send me an email. I guarantee you I'll respond back and find you the right person to go to help you progress in your career field. So thanks for your answer, but more so thanks for giving me the opportunity to double tap on the Wage Grade Career Path Program.
Appreciate the follow-up.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, sir. And Chief, this question was asked specifically to you, and it says, I would like to ask Chief Schultz to explain his position on the importance of transparency within the enlisted stratification effort. Also, kindly request Chief Schultz offer insight on AFSC's current guidance for the enlisted stratification effort, and how has that guidance been or will be disseminated if different than AFI 362406?
Okay, very specific.
Yes.
But I like the position of the questions because I think it's a great segue, and it's really tied to the same thing is, in these programs that we have for developing our force and promoting our force, are we transparent? Does everybody have the same access? So I'll answer specifically because I think there's probably an individual out there that wants the specifics, but I will talk about this a little bit more broadly because I think there's step promotion on our enlisted side. I think there's promotion programs. I think there's also awards programs that sometimes when you're at a certain level, you might not feel like you're, the old good old boys, we've heard that once already, you feel you're not getting that opportunity. And so we try to build into that transparency, and that's dependent on a lot of people at a lot of different levels to do the right thing. I can tell you from where I sit, so our stratification process is per the AFI, and then I have that responsibility to the center, but I also monitor the wings and how the command chiefs there are running those processes to make sure that it's all above board. I think there's a communication piece in this, so I do provide when awards are finished and when stratifications are finished, that feedback goes directly back through the chain of command. And so there's supervisors along the way, and I can understand where that may not get all the way down. What I'd offer you is first make the desire known to your supervisor that you want that feedback. Make sure you start there. And then I'll offer up the same as my partner here, Mr. D'Angelo, robert.schultz.us.af.mil. If you're not getting a result in that, email me directly because I know the buttons to push to get you the answer. And I feel it's something you do deserve. There are folks that might feel, hey, I don't owe that back in an awards program process. And so I like to seek those out and make sure they have an understanding of the expectation I have, boss has, to get that information back to you so that you can make the necessary adjustments or improvements that you need to do to be a competitive person to move on to the next rank. Great question.
If I can follow up, I really want to thank Chief because how he's described the process that he manages and runs, I depend on greatly. And when it comes to enlisted gratification and award programs, that process is transparent, clear, coordinated, and brokered to the point where it makes it not a unilateral decision that I'm making. And I've always taken the responsibility that I have to identify individuals who are deserving of promotion or deserving of any award. It's not my decision, but it's a decision that I trust Chief Schultz, working with the command chiefs and other senior leaders across the center, to really bring forth folks that may not be known to everyone, but nonetheless are performing at a high level in key parts of our mission set. And I just really want to commend. I've been in these roles for 10 years or more, and I've never seen a process that's as transparent and coordinated and brokered across many stakeholders than what I've experienced here at the center in a very short period of time. So thank you, Chief, for doing that. Much appreciated. And it ensures we just had a great opportunity the day before Thanksgiving to award stripes to exceptional performers, and it was just gratifying. And you know you've done it right when you make an announcement like that, and those assembled, it's just thunderous, roaring applause, showing that unanimity, that everyone agrees that the person who's getting recognized in that moment is the most deserving. So I appreciate, Chief, your leadership in this space.
Thanks for the trust.
So I'm going to expand it just a tad bit to take in the civilian side of the house. And Chief's right. All the things that you hear, both on the military side, are taking place on the civilian side too. We're opening up so that it's very transparent in the way we do business. Now, do we realize that there might be some gaps in places? Certainly, and here's some of the things we're thinking about. Number one, we're making sure that more people know that they should take feedback from their bosses, and they should get that feedback. At least you should get it once a year in the feedback system that goes on in your efficiency and proficiency reports. So ask for that, seek that. You can also seek from your bosses additional feedback. They say, if you're not getting the feedback you think you need, then maybe amp that up or let other folks know so that they can help you get that feedback. The second thing is, when you go in to get the feedback, be prepared to be able to answer some questions as well as ask some questions during those feedback sessions. Now, from the standpoint of leaders, our supervisors and managers, we've asked them to amp up their game a little bit by making sure that they have all the skill sets that are necessary for them to do effective and efficient feedback. So we're working to get those tools out to our supervisors, especially our first-line supervisors, this may be their first leadership opportunity, and we want to prepare them with the tools that are required to get them through and to be successful in helping their people achieve to the highest rate possible. So there are tools out there that you can use through the feedback session. There are also tools that we will put in place to help our supervisors be better prepared to provide the type of feedback that's necessary for people to achieve. So it happens across the board, both on the military and on the civilian side of the house. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. So, sir, I know since you've been here, the supply chain and the 448th has been of great interest to you. And so I'm going to toss this question to you. And it says, as our party to become more agile and faster increases, what is the Air Force doing with suppliers to ensure proper supplier business alignment to support this DoD priority?
Yeah, another tough question. I think now's probably a good time for just to refresh if you haven't heard, or maybe announce for the first time. There are 4 really distinct priorities. And my first week here, Mr. D'Angelo and I cornered a whiteboard in his office and just started scribbling on it. And we really came up with 4 priorities, and they are cross-cutting, and just about everything that we face as a center, it fits nicely into this priority scheme that I really want to give Mr. D'Angelo credit for seeding. And then we kind of had a brainstorming session and made it to where we are today. And the 4 priorities, starting with number 1, is producing the promise. And it sounds like just 3 simple words. Why wouldn't you have that as a priority? But it's complicated because the real question that comes from that is whose promise? You know, whose promise are we talking about that we're producing to? And we have a lot of stakeholders. You can probably line up 5 people any place in this center and ask them, okay, who's our customer? And you probably will get 5 distinct answers. But aligning and really coordinating and integrating our customer base, and really it's right at the heart of the leadership model. When you look at that bullseye that says common goals, it's a challenge in this center as far as really understanding the complexity of the work we do, who all it ends up serving, and really aligning all of those goals and priorities and preferences as to how we're making sure that we're satisfying the needs of all who we serve. The second line of effort, and not saying this is any less important, but people is at the heart of everything that we do. And we've spent a lot of time talking about how we can take care of our people from their physical selves to their professional development. I throw mental, emotional, and spiritual in there as well, because if we don't address those needs, then we won't have the best person to serve the needs of our mission. The third one is process is really in everything that we do. And when you look at the art of the possible, I'm wearing the patch on my sleeve right now. It's our mission culture. And it's been the one constant since day one of the stand-up of this center. And the folks who've served in the position that I serve in, going all the way back to our first commander, Lieutenant General Bruce Litchfield, it's been the theme that's been responsible and the heart of our most important successes. And when we have the need to improve, is where we fall back to. So making sure that that mission culture persists, and that as we bring on the next generation of sustainers in our center, that we make that the priority to make sure that they're imbued in that mission culture. And the last is preparing for the future. I'm going to get around to answering Ms. Walden's question here soon, but this preparing for the future is really where the supply chain and how we actually build the right public-private partnerships that will enable us to take on the threats in the future, starting with our pacing threat China, our acute threat Russia, and all of the other burgeoning threats. Throw in North Korea, go USA, just beat Iran yesterday on a soccer field. We hope that adversary does not fulfill some of its nefarious goals that disrupt the international order. But when you look at those public-private partnerships and you look at the tiers of suppliers that we need to harness, both industry doing that for us, but also the partnerships that we create in our 448 Supply Chain Management Wing, that ends up being the center of everything else that we do. I'm an aircraft maintainer, and when I was at Ogden, I spent a lot of time focusing on the fighters that Ogden produces, the Minuteman III weapon system. But one piece of the center that was a critical path into anything that we were doing to try to produce the promise, produce faster, or to become more efficient, was the ability of our supply chain as the 448, the 635th, but the tiers of industry suppliers that support those organizations, that support our weapon systems, to the extent that they were integrated, whole, and optimal as far as their effectiveness, that ensured our success. Doing that in a way that's collaborative and transparent, but also doing that in a way that maximizes the value of the taxpayer dollars that we spend. It's a tough challenge. The professionals who serve in the 448 in particular are best in the world. But in the future, first of all, we'll have to be more comfortable building these high-performing public-private partnerships. I don't see us doing it alone. And the innovation the industry brings in tandem with the capability and capacity of our organic depots and our organic exchangeables and commodities organizations, that's going to be the secret sauce that brings the best of technology, but also the ability to surge to meet our warfighters' needs. That is the recipe for success in the future. So I see it as something that we'll have to continue working every day. It's a tough challenge, but all of the partners I've talked to, both internal to the government and also in private industry, everybody's chomping at the bit to get after this noble purpose of keeping the nation safe and secure.
We have also looked at how our contracting folks could help speed up the process and reduce the cost of entry for whatever contractor wants to come into business. And we've tasked them to go out and look at that. Matter of fact, as a Christmas gift, they promised us that they're going to look at a way of making that move faster and at the same time reduce the cost. We know that there's a lot of small business contractors out there that can actually solve some of the issues that we have. But sometimes the mechanism by which they have to enter into our system is somewhat cumbersome to them and probably expensive also. So consequently, we lose the opportunity to probably find somebody who can fill the material needs. So small business, heavily involved in this one. Contracting, heavily involved. And I know that Mr. Gray, Steve Gray, the civilian director of the 448 Supply Chain Wing, as well as our 635th partners, are focused on helping this process so that we can bring in the greatest number of participants to provide the resources we need to meet the warfighter needs. So thanks, boss.
There's no other organization or cluster of organizations that face the challenge that we face. I mean, we have the challenge of actually sustaining aircraft that were built in the 1950s, as well as posturing to bring on aircraft that are going to serve past 2100. Name an organization that comes to work facing that challenge, and it's why we're so special. It sounds elitist, but it's why the Air Force's Command Center is so special, because we take on that challenge, and we have professionals across our organization that come to work every day with the sole focus of making sure that we're taking these challenges head on and succeeding at them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you for
Thank you.
doing that.